To the people of Yipsmix, the word whipper tastes like spoiled milk. It's a rotten and sour taste, which perfectly fits the rodent that bears its name. The whipper might look creamy white and furry, but it is the most sharply unpleasant animal on their planet. To be fair to whippers, most W words have this sort of taste, unless the W is paired with OR, as in world or worm. These words taste earthy and fresh, like a rich mushroom soup. The word wonderful doesn't quite make the jump from disgusting W to delightful WOR. It has an average sort of taste, like white rice, which is a shame. Imagine, you describe something as wonderful, and the other person has to take your word for it because his mouth is telling him that it's boring. But back to those annoying whippers, because everything that happened to young Jaq Rollop can be traced to the day the whippers showed up in his garden. "There's no doubt about it," Jaq said at breakfast. "We've got whippers." His mother and grandfather both winced at the word, as if it had struck them across the face. "Great moons, no," his mother said. "Chimichanga," Grandpa said, to get the bad taste of the word whipper out of his mouth. Chimichanga has a nice, meaty, crispy flavor. Jaq lifted his pant leg and showed them the bite marks on his ankle. Whippers love to bite ankles. His mother pressed some damp tea leaves onto the bites to stop the poison from spreading. Then she gave him a kiss goodbye and a lunch bag filled with tasty words written on a piece of paper that Jaq could read as he ate the very bland ripweed sandwich. The Rollops were poor. They couldn't afford fancy foods like lunch meats or juice. Young Jaq Rollop was in his 7th year of rudimentary school, which meant he was 49 years old. That's a little over 12 Earth years, or 73.5 Epsidor Erandi years, for readers on those planets. Hello, and Erip Nu. I'm not quite sure about the equivalent years on Zanflid because of the complicated dual sun situation and its extremely elongated elliptical orbit. Suffice it to say, in his species, Jaq was medium-sized, and his second molars had just come in. The Rollop family lived on a farm at the far edge of Cruxlump, where the land was baked by the sun and as dry as a stale cookie. They grew ripweed because little else would grow in that unfriendly soil. Ripweed tastes wonderful, or rather, it tastes like the word wonderful tastes, which is boring. Jaq also had a garden where he grew a few brickleberry vines and some vegetables beside their one-room house. He did most of the chores on the family's small farm because his father was gone, his mother worked all day at the hushware factory, and his grandfather had trouble moving because he was lazy. Jaq plowed the soil, planted the seeds, and pulled the weeds. He sold whatever he grew at the farmer's market, and his mom let him keep half of what he earned, which was barely enough to buy himself a large, sweet, double-shot extra-hot salt mint drink with heavy whip on the way home from school. He needed that sweet treat. Farming was hard work on a normal day. Farming on top of school and homework was painful drudgery. When you throw in a nest of whippers, it's enough to make a guy cry like a 22-year-old. The whippers took him by surprise that first morning. He was picking brickleberries for breakfast when he saw a flash of white scurry by his foot and disappear into the next row of vines. Jaq chased after it, but instead of running away, the small rodent turned around to face him.